Okay, so I went on Twitter, I found some pixel art that I think could use a little help, and today I'm just going to be fixing it up and explaining the process. And if you ever want me to do this with your pixel art, then just DM it to me on Twitter, which I will link below. Problems I noticed looking at this is that there's no shading on the edge of the grass, even though it's overhanging on the cliff, and you can see that the right side is supposed to be lighter than the left, yet the grass on top that's hanging down is the same color. So we're gonna fix that. Also, the outlines here, they should lean toward the color that's dominating them and not just be this dark blue purpley color. Usually you want to reserve dark outlines for spots where contrast is really important and you want to draw attention. So in like a video game, you would see high contrast between a wall and the floor because you want players to very easily tell where that difference is. But when it's just an art piece, then you don't need to have these edges here be super dark like this. It just ends up looking messy and it's making people look in the wrong places. And all I'm doing here is I'm selecting all the flat planes and I'm just going to apply a jitter to my brush and just get random pixels all over the place. It adds depth, it adds texture, it takes 5 seconds and makes it way better. And so yeah, if it won't compromise your art style, then I definitely suggest just doing it. You'll see in the end result, it just makes a massive difference. So now what I'm doing is I'm coloring the outlines. I'm just tinting them the color of what's next to them, so brown for the dirt and green for the grass. And then for the cat, I'll do black to make him stick out a little more. And the little inner outlines of the cat, like around his chin and where his stomach meets his hind leg, I'm going to brighten those up because you don't really want the same contrast inside the character as you want outside it. Because the difference between a cat's chin and its foot is a lot less big than the difference between the cat itself and the grass around it. And here's the before and after for our little isometric cat here. Yeah, I mean, just look at the difference in the texture and the depth and just everything. This only took probably 5 minutes and it turned out so much better. And yeah, I don't know, I think something like this could look really cool in a game, and the shadow on the edges looks really good, colored outlines looks good, it just all looks really good. Here I think was the best by default, but it does also still have a lot of problems. Like the head of the flower looks really messy, and the shading in general looks weird. There's some pixels in spots they shouldn't be, and some of the color choices are even just bad. So I'm just gonna slowly clean up all of those little things one by one, and then for the flower's head I'm pretty much just gonna have to fill it in completely and redo it. What I'm doing here for the shadows and highlights is I'm just creating a new layer and I'm just filling in where I want the shadows with black, and then I just change the layer mode to something like overlay or multiply, and it just is a really easy way to inherit the color behind it, and it's just really fast. And then I'm just dithering as well by just picking that new color, I merge it down, I pick that color, and then I just put dots of it all around the edge. And it's just a nice smooth transition. Obviously with pixel art it's still very visible, but it's just part of the style of dithering with pixel art. And then yeah, for highlights you just use white, and for shadows you use black, and it's really easy and it just turns out really nice, and it takes like not even 10 minutes for this whole thing. Okay, and here's our before and after for our little flower and stump combo. I mean, the clarity on the flower itself is like a million times better. The color of this like actually makes sense here now. There's some real shading on here. The inside has more depth to it. this little rim light is over here. Yeah, and the shadow, I didn't have to add the shadow, but yeah, I think this one turned out really good too. Anything that's messy like this, you kind of just have to fill it in and then just slowly rebuild what you had before. And also stuff like this here, like you want the flower to be part of this stump here, so you don't really want pixels separating things that are supposed to be combined. This one's going to be the most work by far, and the reason is because it's such a high resolution. Usually with pixel art, you want your smallest detail to be represented by a single pixel. So like if you have a character with a coat on, maybe you'd want a button on his coat to be 1 pixel big, and then you could use that for the scaling for everything else. So yeah, for here, like the scales on him, they're just way too big. The eyes are way too big. The highlight on the eye is way too big. The smallest detail here would probably be that little highlight on the eye, so theoretically that should only be 1 pixel big. So I'm just going to take the whole canvas and everything, and I'm just going to divide it by 2 and then just go from there. And you'll notice that after I downscaled it, it's immediately a lot messier, but it does not actually look like pixel art and it's something we can work with. So for a while here, I'm just going to be going through cleaning up all of the edges. If you did have this as a PNG, you could just take your character and you could select by alpha and just do the inverse selection of something fully opaque, which would let you delete all of these little half pixels together. But because this image was already combined with the background, I can't really do that. So for the bubbles here, I just have to completely redo them because they're just way too blurry. But that's alright, and then I'm just going to add a little gradient to them just to make it kind of seem like they're reflecting the environment a little. And then next thing I'm going to do is fix the colors. The catfish colors aren't necessarily bad right now, but I think they can be improved a lot really easily by just making the highlights a little more yellow and the shading a little more blue, and then just increase the saturation just everywhere. And this before and after here, this one took a long time, but I think it turned out really good. Before, it was like technically not even actually pixel art, it was just low res, but I don't know, I guess the person didn't know that. But if you ever have something like this, it's just like blurred edges and like it's just high res like this, just keep cutting it in half and eventually you'll get, you know, something vaguely like this. And then it's really just all about cleaning it up. And you know, like I added more shadow to it, I fixed the colors, I added the faint little outline, I changed the background color too just because I thought it would look way better. But yeah, you can do this with like anything. You could downscale any image, and you know, once you get it to like this resolution, it's just all about cleaning it up, which I mean that's hard to do too, but it's, I don't know, you can just make anything turn out really nice. So yeah, let me know how you think these turned out. Like I said before, you can submit your own pixel art to me on Twitter, and when this video comes out, a few other videos are going to come out too, so check those out if you enjoyed this one. And yeah, bye!